Now, there's a few people talking about, but not many. But I think the major concern right now should be St. Lucie Nuclear Power Plant. It's operated by FPL, and it's not even on the mainland. It's on this little island right here, right next to the ocean, surrounded by water. And when you think about potentially 40-foot waves on top of a 20-foot storm surge, you have a wall of 60 foot of water that could completely flood this plant out. And this is the cooling canal. You can imagine they have the A1A highway going right next to this nuclear power plant. And there's this bridge here. Now, what do you think could happen if you have a 60-foot wall of water go across this bridge? Well, the water's going to go over the bridge, and it could knock this bridge out, and the direction of the water could slam right into the nuclear power plant. They got spent fuel in there from 1970. This is a really old reactor. Matter of fact, let me show you something else not many other people are talking about. You see right here? That's nuclear waste as well. These are spent fuel rods. They're located in this thing right here, and you can see there's like little holes. Well, guess what? That gases out radioactivity. They can't really contain it, because if you try to plug up every single hole, you can have a reaction in there of gas and the thing could blow up. So it's off-gassing. And they got it, I don't know, an extra 10 feet up, I guess, when you could see what's surrounding it. But look at these little storage containers and everything right here. Water could slam into that, slam right into this concrete and break it. Now you have salt water to hit these rods. Not good. We learned that in Fukushima how terrible it is when you have salt water go inside of a reactor. They could get pushed right inland with the storm surge. So a storm surge could go on land, these spent fuel rods all over West Palm Beach and Martin County and St. Lucie Port. What a heck of a name to call a nuclear power plant, St. Lucie, St. Lucifer. The devil's in the details. There's this very famous hurricane guy. He was on Hutchinson Island. No mention of this power plant. Famous guy. Didn't mention this power plant. Oh, but they're doing evacuations just south of here. And coincidentally, just north, they didn't do any evacuations that I've seen yet. But on South Hutchinson Island, there is mandatory evacuation. And I saw this shit yesterday. I was seeing every freaking noodle they had the hurricane offshore. And whenever you get like a consensus like that, it's likely some bad thing is going to happen. And what do you know? The storms track more west than they thought it would. Before I forget, let's go back to that bridge that people cross. Major bridge highway, the A1A. Now, could you imagine you're driving down and you have to see this freaking nuclear plant every time you go driving? This is a big bridge. Could be, I don't know, 1,000 feet across. Pretty heavy bridge, lots of steel, concrete. If that wall of water hits this bridge, it's destined to slam right into one of these reactors where they have spent fuel. Then you'd have salt water inside of your reactor. Not good. Not good at all. Now, this is Martin County. The coastal areas have been evacuated. As you can see here, Hutchinson Island South. Only a couple miles up the road is St. Lucifer Nuclear Power Plant. See right there, that's the Hutchinson. The red areas are where you have the highest storm surge, as you can see. So it's not like, oh, by this magic line you have this huge surge right here and then it's going to stop. That doesn't make any sense, right? Well, guess what? The nuclear power plant, right there. Now, the lady that I'm going to show you in this video, that her whole apartment complex, the roof came off of the complex, and they're standing out in the open where the eye was, where they were able to get that video out. Usually on the east side of the hurricane is the stronger side. I was measuring higher winds up in here. There's a lot of inconsistencies I've seen with the storm. For example, the millibars, when I've been seeing on the tracks, they're showing a higher amount, which means that the lower the millibars, the stronger the storm. Well, they're showing a higher millibar level. They're off by 40 points. They're not even showing the high wind gusts that this was at, they were having wind gusts above 220 miles an hour. And then when you check the wind gusts of the models, they're only like 150. It doesn't add up. So I don't know what they're doing. They're giving people like a false sense of security of how strong and devastating the storm can be. And like I said, they were showing all these tracks. All the noodles weren't even going anywhere part of Florida. They were going near it, next to it, but not on it. But when you can see how far along these devastating winds are, there's like 100 miles on each side. And the east side is more strong. Port St. Lucie is about right there. So we're just depending on this miraculous turn. As soon as it hits the Florida, it's like it's scared of Florida and it's just going to go north. I wouldn't depend on it, folks. You know, if you're anywhere within the longitude of this line, you should go inland as far as you can. Me, I'm not too far either. If this storm just wobbles a couple times south, I could be in a shitload of crap myself. So you can see here, see, they have the wind gusts at 141 miles an hour. That's not correct. They had sustained for 10 seconds over 195.
Please pray for us. Please pray for us, everyone. Please pray for us. Me and my baby. Everyone that stay in the apartment building, we stuck right here. Please pray for us. I'm asking y'all, please. Pray for us. Pray for Abigail, please. I'm begging y'all. My baby is only 4 months old. Please pray for us. I'm begging y'all, pray for us. Apartment building, as we stay in, the whole roof came off. We standing right here. People trying to make it to the other side where this white house is, but some people, the water just took them, and those are the only people that got to make it over there. Some people didn't get to make it. Everyone, I'm asking y'all, please. My baby's only 4 months old. He doesn't know nothing. Please just pray for us. I'm asking y'all.
So let's take a look at some of these models, show you where they're going now. Looks like it's going west-northwest. There's a slight wobble south. Ooh. It's really slowing down. It's battering the Bahamas. Just starting to make a turn. Oh, went west there. So you have major winds going to Port St. Lucie already. Now it's miraculously going to go north. Don't depend on it. I'm not expecting this thing to stop on the dime. They're off by 50 miles of this track. It's going to be really devastating. If you're over in South Carolina, definitely want to get away from the coast. South Carolina, North Carolina as well. This area right here sticks out like a sore thumb. That's Brunswick. Brunswick nuclear power plant. Charlotte's going to get hit hard. You're going to feel some strong winds in New York, Connecticut. Nova Scotia's going to get some really bad winds. You're going to get a hurricane up there in Nova Scotia. This island here is going to get whacked. And these storms will eventually slam into Ireland and the British Isles. Now let's have a look at the sea temperature, because they're saying the storm is going to lower intensity as soon as it starts heading north. But there's this thing called the Gulf Stream right here. It takes very hot water, sends it around the east coast of Florida. So that water's warm, 86 degrees, pretty hot water. The 86 degrees is going to go all the way up, even up to Georgia. So they're saying it's going to be a 2 or something like that when it hits South Carolina. I don't think so. It depends if the eye does go over Florida and turns back in. Maybe Florida would weaken it. But for the most part, if the eye stays generally mostly off the coast of Florida, which we hope, it's still going to be pretty strong. And 86 degrees almost all the way up to South Carolina. They also said another thing that I found is interesting. They say our Gulf Stream is slowing down. So that means that usually the storm would be up and out of here sooner than it would. And it might make that turn faster. But since our Gulf Stream is slowing down, that's kind of like our protection here in Florida. It gives us some bit of protection from these storms. If it slows down, it means that these storms are going to be staying a long time more over land and less influenced. North Carolina, 84, still pretty hot. Look at that, 84 off the coast of Virginia. So that's why I'm thinking even the storm is going to be pretty strong when it hits Nova Scotia as well. You want to see something else kind of shady? Well, they had RadNet turned off in the most parts of Florida. Miami was just on today. I was looking at it. RadNet over here by Jacksonville and Orlando, that's took down. There's no RadNet over here by Savannah. So these rad stations are down. That's not normal. If it does hit St. Lucie, we're not going to know. Unless we have some independent people out there with Geiger counters. Here's something else that's really freaky. This is a picture of Dorian Gray. This was a novel written in the 1900s. And it was about a guy who was given his wish that his portrait would age while he remained young and handsome. Now, if you look in the right-hand corner, bottom right-hand corner of this portrait, you almost see something that resembles like a hurricane right here in the right bottom corner. But I thought this was like a synchronicity that just popped out of my head, like, wow. Because Dorian, he would not die. But his portrait, they made him look like he was dead in his portrait. So it's kind of like the models that they're sending us out. Oh, it's going to die. It's not going to bother us. And then, boom, here we go. Hurricane Dorian. The origin of the name Dorian is from the Greek Dorius, meaning child of the sea. There was something called the Dorian invasion. And it means also to descend, to come down, to go down, or also to be brought down. It means it descended from uplands to lowlands, or from earth to the grave, or rushing down as a flood, or sweeping down as a wind.
Hi, I'm Casey DeSantis. The governor and I are praying for our state. If authorities tell you to evacuate, please take those orders seriously. If you live in a coastal area, plan your evacuation now so you and your family can get out safely. Take essential items, including prescription drugs, medical supplies, and have a plan for your pet. Please pay attention to this storm. Follow FL CERT on Twitter and monitor local news updates. Florida is our home. It is hard to leave, but your safety comes first.
Well, this storm is one of the strongest storms that's ever threatened Florida. It's now strengthened to where it's stronger than what Hurricane Andrew was. It's stronger than Hurricane Michael. So this is a major, major threat to the east coast of Florida. And so where we're at is you have a number of counties that have imposed mandatory evacuation orders, particularly in those areas on the coast that could be subjected to really serious storm surge and coastal flooding. In conjunction with that, I have authorized the suspension of tolls and have allowed our DOT to use the shoulder lanes if necessary to make some of those evacuations from those counties smoother. I think you're going to see more counties as you go further up the east coast of Florida, further north. We'll likely be making some decisions very soon. You know, look, I hope that this thing tacks further east in terms of the cone, but we've got to prepare for this to have an impact with Florida. And so our message to the people of Florida is continue to stay vigilant, make your preparations, and if you are in one of these evacuation zones and you've been ordered to evacuate by your local officials, please heed the call. This is a very, very strong storm.
Tonight, northeast winds 20 to 25 knots. Seas 14 to 16 feet with a dominant period 12 seconds. Chance of showers and slight chance of thunderstorms. Monday, northeast winds 20 to 25 knots, increasing to 25 to 30 knots in the afternoon. Gusts up to 40 knots. Seas 15 to 18 feet with a dominant period 12 seconds. Showers likely and slight chance of thunderstorms. Monday night, tropical storm conditions possible. Northeast winds 25 to 30 knots, with gusts to around 45 knots. Seas 19 to 22 feet with a dominant period 13 seconds. Showers and chance of thunderstorms. Tuesday, hurricane conditions possible. Northeast winds 35 to 40 knots, with gusts to around 55 knots, increasing to 45 to 55 knots, with gusts to around 75 knots in the afternoon. Seas 25 feet building to 32 feet in the afternoon. Showers and chance of thunderstorms. Tuesday night, hurricane conditions possible. Showers and slight chance of thunderstorms. Wednesday, hurricane conditions possible. Normally dry areas near the coast to be flooded by rising waters moving inland from the shoreline. Life-threatening surge waters may reach 4 to 7 feet above ground near the coast. Listen to local officials and need evacuation orders if given. Large battering waves and higher than normal tides will add to the destructive potential, along with severe dune erosion. Heavy rainfall is forecast over east central Florida with total accumulations of 4 to 8 inches with maximum isolated rainfall amounts to 10 inches along the east coast. flash flooding is possible, especially in urban and poorly drained areas, with river flooding to continue at some points and develop at others. Also, while threat remains low, a few tornadoes will be possible and squalls as they move onshore along the coast. Next update. The next local statement will be issued by the National Weather Service in Melbourne, Florida around 12 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, or sooner if conditions warrant. Hurricane Watch. A hurricane watch is in effect for the following counties: in Florida, coastal Flagler and inland Flagler. Hurricane Watch. A hurricane watch remains in effect for the following county: inland Flagler, Florida. Hurricane Watch. For the following coastal waters from St. Augustine to Flagler Beach, Florida out 20 nautical miles, and waters from St. Augustine to Flagler Beach, Florida extending from 20 nautical miles to 60 nautical miles. Hurricane Watch in effect. The National Weather Service in Jacksonville has issued a hurricane watch, which is in effect. The small craft advisory has been canceled. Winds and seas, northeast winds of 15 to 25 knots. Tonight will continue Monday with 20 to 30 knots, Monday night. Tropical storm conditions developing Tuesday with hurricane force winds expected Tuesday night through Wednesday night. Seas 10 to 15 feet tonight and Monday will build to 20 to 30 feet for Tuesday and Wednesday. A hurricane watch is issued when sustained winds of 64 knots, or 74 miles per hour or higher associated with a hurricane are possible within 48 hours. Tropical Storm Watch. A tropical storm watch remains in effect for the following county: Putnam, Florida. Coastal Flood Advisory. For the following county: Putnam, Florida. Coastal Flood Advisory remains in effect until 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time Wednesday. Locations: Atlantic coastal areas and inland waterways of southeast Georgia and northeast Florida, including the St. Johns River Basin. Tidal departure, up to 2 feet above normal. Coastal flood impacts. Minor coastal flooding is expected due to high astronomical tides associated with the new moon phase and onshore winds ahead of the approach of Hurricane Dorian. Timing: minor flooding expected around high tide cycles early this week in advance of Hurricane Dorian. Water levels are expected to be 1 to 2 feet above mean higher water. A coastal flood advisory indicates that onshore winds and tides will combine to generate flooding of low areas along the shore. Hurricane Watch. For the following coastal waters from Flagler Beach to the Volusia-Brevard County line out to 20 nautical miles, and waters from Flagler Beach to the Volusia-Brevard County line extending from 20 to 60 nautical miles. Hurricane Watch in effect.